Welcome to season 15 of the Parenting Aces podcast. I'm your host, Lisa Stone, and this week I have two Australian coaches joining me who are actually in Texas while we're recording this. I have Coach John Thompson and Coach Kelsey Lewis. They are here visiting the Newcombe Tennis Ranch in Texas with a group of high school age Australian juniors who are being exposed to American college tennis for the first time. And these two coaches bring kids over several times a year. They are trying to provide a pathway for Australian juniors after they finish high school who may or may not be ready to try their hand at the pro tour, but want to continue playing tennis. And I think it is so cool. And I'm excited for y'all to hear from these two very enthusiastic coaches. Before I bring them on, just a quick reminder, if you haven't already, please go to ParentingAces.com and sign up for our free e-newsletter. Make sure you're following us on all of our socials. And if you are a tennis family in need of a little guidance through this crazy tennis journey, I am here to help with one-to-one consults, which you can also purchase and book through our website, ParentingAces.com. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy my conversation with coaches from Australia, Kelsey Lewis and John Thompson. John and Kelsey, welcome to the podcast. I am so excited for y'all to share this adventure with the Parenting Aces audience. I think it's so cool what you guys are doing, and I don't want to spill the beans. I want to let you guys talk a little bit about this adventure you've been on. But before we do that, maybe each of you can give us just like a 2 or 3 minute rundown of your tennis story, how you got started playing.
Yeah, well, hey, thanks so much for having us on there. We're really excited to be on the podcast to share a little bit about what we do and who we are. I have a massive tennis background. My name's John Thompson. My auntie was a professional tennis player back in the day. My dad played tennis and coached on the side. My uncle played tennis and coached on the side. My whole family has been involved in tennis. So that really got me going in the sport, and I just fell in love with it. So I ended up playing tennis. I played some low-level professional tennis, and I also, at home, was our state head coach in New South Wales, working in the Australian tennis industry. Back at home, it was pretty cool working with a lot of the elite players, and now Kelsey and myself, run a business together back at home, trying to give Aussies a pathway in the sport to continue their tennis after they finish school. So hence why we're over here in the US, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. I'll let Kelsey tell you guys a little bit about herself.
Yes, my name is Kelsey Lewis. My parents got me started in tennis. They were down at the local club. They joined the Saturday afternoon comp and they got me hitting. So my parents got me into tennis. And then as I developed and as I kept playing, I was lucky enough to meet this guy. And he was my coach from the age of about 9 onwards to playing professional tennis. And now we coach together. So I'm very fortunate to have met John, and now we do some very exciting things together with tennis and traveling, and it's fantastic.
And where are you guys based in Australia?
We're based in sort of southeast Sydney region. Where our local club is the South Camden Tennis Club, and that's where we coach out of.
Awesome. Okay, so let's dive into this. I was scrolling Instagram, came across all your reels about this trip that you were on to Nukes in Texas with this group of junior players. I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. And the kids look like they were having a blast. Y'all are still there. So
yes, we are.
Yeah, this was a little easier to maneuver than trying to coordinate once you're back home. But
yep.
Like, what is this trip about? How did this all come to be?
Okay, so obviously we've got a big connection with the John Newcombe Tennis Academy here in Texas. But for anyone that doesn't know, John Newcombe is an Aussie legend tennis player. He's one of the best tennis players to ever play the game. He's won 26 Grand Slam titles. Not only do we have a great connection with John Newcombe himself, he's a great guy. The ranch here, I've been coming to the ranch here for about 27 years. And I've got to say, it's probably my favorite place in the world to come to for tennis. The guys here are absolutely amazing. They help us out immensely with our players. Not only do we have a great connection here in the US, We've actually just done a deal with the guys here at the ranch and John Newcombe himself that we're actually running the John Newcombe Tennis Academy programs back in Australia now. So it's a link to try to get a pathway for our Aussie players and their parents educated on college tennis. Hence why we're on a trip here in the US. We've bought over 11 players, and we've bought them from different states around Australia. And realistically, what it is to try to educate our players and parents on the pathway that is college tennis, so we don't lose players to the sport when they finish at their school. We're very passionate about keeping players in the sport, and without our connection with John Newcombe's Tennis Academy here, it would be a lot harder for us to have a base here in the US and to get around to all the colleges. Kelsey can tell you a little bit about all the colleges that we've been to, and we've been on the road for, I don't know how many hours I've driven, but how many colleges have we visited, Kels?
It's been incredible. So we've been to about 10 college campuses so far, and the kids have absolutely had a ball. We've been to all the different associations from NCAA to NAIA, junior college and community college, and just seeing all the different levels and divisions and showing these kids firsthand what college tennis is like. A lot of times back at home, kids really don't know what college tennis is about, and it's a lot of sort of guesswork. So for us bringing them over, they've got a really good understanding of what it's like, and I think all of our players are really excited to head down that pathway very shortly.
So your kids finish what we call high school. You'll call it college at the high school level, right?
No, it's still called high school. They finish what we call in year 12 back at home. So they're roughly, their ages are around about 17 or 18. They generally finish school back at home. And right now, while we're here in America, our kids from Australia are on what we call our school holidays. We've got a 2-week break until they go back. So it gave us a bit of a window of opportunity to get over here in the school holidays so that they don't miss school. And we've been able to travel to some serious schools. And we actually got to take them to the Texas match against Florida the other day, the men's match. And that just opened their eyes massively. They couldn't believe the atmosphere, the environment, the intensity, the level of play, but also how the coaches were able to walk on the court, coach them during points, coach them after points. This has just been an amazing education for our players and their parents back at home, because back at home we have zero education virtually on college tennis, and it's something that we're passionate about, and it's something that we're lucky enough. Back in the day, I got to spend a little bit of time coaching at Texas A&M under Steve Denton and Bob McKinley, who used to be one of the head coaches, or he was the head coach here at Nukes. So that was the association. They were kind enough to have me go out there and work under them for a couple of months, which was just fantastic. And Kelsey spent some time at St. Mary's University coaching under Coach Bill Makem at San Antonio, which is a Division II program. So we're trying to educate not only our parents and players, but we're trying to make sure that we are speaking from firsthand experience when we do bring players over here and take them on these trips.
What ages are the kids that you'll have on this trip this time?
So this time, I believe our kids range from about that 14, 15 all the way through. We've got 2 players who have actually just signed to go to college.
Which is awesome.
So they're about 18, 19. So the range is pretty great. We've got some kids that are absolutely loving the Nukes training atmosphere. And they're just coming for that little bit of a taste of the college scene. And then we've got players that are really serious about looking to sign with colleges. So it's fantastic, the range of players we've got.
And what are you hearing from these kids in terms of how the level of the college tennis that they've gotten to see compares to kind of their idea of what college tennis was going to be?
That is an absolutely awesome question. And I'm glad you asked that question, because back at home, without them seeing the level or understanding the level, we get our players, and they're good players, but they don't understand the level. And they're saying to us, oh, we're going to Texas, or we're going to, the big Pepperdines, or whatever it might be. And I explain to them, I say, do you guys actually understand what level you're talking about? And hence why we're taking our kids to these big college matches. When they got to watch the Texas Longhorns against the Florida Gators the other day, they were in awe of the level. They could not believe the level of tennis. And we explain it to our parents back home. If you're going to a big D1 men's program, you're looking at a minimum to even get a look in at their school at that 13 UTR level. And if you're playing at line 1 in these big schools, they're over 14 UTR. And our players and parents sometimes look at us and they go, there's no way. And we're like, yes. Like we went to, we've been to some Division 2 schools. We've been to some Division 3 schools. We've been to NAIA programs and also community college. And we've seen the players train and play, and they cannot believe the level across the board. And when we explain to our players and our parents back home that some D3 programs will beat D1 programs, they're like, hang on a minute, how does that work? So trying to get them to understand the concept of how, in D3, there is no athletic scholarships, but they're very focused on their academics, which does take some really high-level tennis players to those programs. And then on the other hand, you've got D1 and D2 that are heavily focused on athletics as well as academics that will give out more scholarships. So for us, to answer your question, our players have been absolutely gobsmacked at the level. Like they cannot believe how good the players are. And they said, hang on a minute, we do not fit at that level of tennis. And unfortunately, back at home, our players, they are good, but we don't get exposed to what the level is back home. So we've got some players back at home that might be 16-year-old girls that are 8 UTRs, and they think they're going to the number 1 program in America, and you're like, you're not even close. We've got boys that are 18 or 19 and that are 10 UTRs, and they're going, yeah, I'm going to go and play at Texas. I said, guys, you wouldn't be the orange peeler. It's not to put these kids down, but it's to explain where they actually fit and where the Aussies fit in the system of college tennis. Now, I do speak about the UTR a lot. Unfortunately, back at home, our UTR, we've figured out over the last 8 to 10 years of travel, it really doesn't correlate to anywhere else around the world very well, if that makes sense.
Really?
And what I mean by that is we may have like an 11.5 UTR come from Australia. That doesn't match up over here. So we've had an 11.5 UTR boy from Australia come over here that I've coached, and Kelsey's coached with me since he was 9, and he's now 17 and just got a world ranking on the men's tour. He'll come over and he'll beat 12.5, 13 UTRs, but his UTR states that he's an 11.5. So it doesn't match up as well as what the UTR system should match up. And that's been something that we're trying to educate a lot of Aussies on, that we need to get players over here in front of coaches to see their level instead of just seeing it on paper.
And on the flip side of that.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
On the flip side of that, we do have some players with massive misconceptions of the college tennis scene.
Yeah.
We have some players that think, if I'm not going professional straight out of school, then
I'm never going to make it.
I'm never going to make it. So showing these guys that college is this really awesome, viable pathway is really cool as well. Showing them all the different perks that they get, how it's such a good training ground for development and additional time. It's awesome.
Yeah. And I think it's so interesting that there's that kind of disconnect on the UTR scale. I'm assuming that because I know college coaches here recruit pretty heavily from Australia, the coaches are starting to really understand where the gap is, right? I mean,
correct.
It's the ones that are looking to recruit from Australia.
Correct.
But what I find, go ahead.
No, and you just touched on a point that's really relevant. When we've been over here, and I've done a ton of college visits over the last 10 years, if not more, speaking to all the college coaches, they find a big disconnect with the UTR from around the world. We just did a few college visits, and speaking to the head coaches, we go to Europe and it's almost non-existent, but they have UTRs, but they might be a 10, but they're coming over here and they're really playing at a 12 or 12.5 level. So they're starting to get very confused. These are the college head coaches confused on how the UTR is translating around the world. So they've been contacting us hand over fist going, what's the level? Where do they fit? Have you got players here? We've got coaches ringing us tomorrow trying to get out to see our kids here at Nukes because they're like, we've seen the videos. We like how they play, but we don't understand why their level is maybe an 8 UTR, but they could play in our school and they need to be a 10. And I said, come and have a look. And they come and have a look, and our players are getting signed because they look at them and go, well, they fit into our program, and the UTR doesn't correlate as well as maybe what it should correlate.
Well, and this is an important point for American families to understand too, right?
Yep.
That your American child may be a 12,
Yep.
but they're competing against an Aussie who's a
Yep.
10,
Yep.
who is actually a 12 and a half by American
Possibly.
standards, possibly,
Yeah,
right?
possibly.
So
Yep.
this is why you can't just rely on these ratings and rankings
You can't.
when you're starting your search for college. You
Correct.
can't just look at the team's UTRs and
Yep.
say, oh, I will fit there, or oh, I won't fit there.
Correct.
I shouldn't bother to reach out.
Correct.
It's worth your effort, especially at the beginning of the process, to cast this wide net and let the coaches tell you you're a fit or you're not.
You are 100% on the money. And that's something why we do these trips, is because we want to put these Aussies in front of these coaches firsthand. You know, if you're just sending video and you're sending your UTR to them, that's not really a good indication of maybe where you fit. I'm not saying that always that the UTR will go, your UTR, if you're a 10 in Australia, you'll be higher. It's just that it just doesn't correlate as well as maybe what everyone thinks. And it's been so beneficial for us as coaches, especially in Australia, coming to speak to, like we've spoken to 10, 12 college coaches while we've been here, and every single one of them has the same wording for us about the UTR. They all use it as a guide, but they're starting to realize that it's not as accurate as what they thought it may be when they're recruiting internationals, and whether some internationals may be a 10, but they're really an 8. So they're starting to see that they've got to actually understand that it doesn't correlate. And now they're actually, the college coaches are looking further instead of just this with their search going, well, they're a 10, so I'm done.
Well, we've seen so much success at the college showcase that we have here at the John Newcombe Tennis Ranch. So every December, PJ, the co-director of the academy, will put on a showcase where it sort of pulls in this wide net of college coaches around the Texas region. And we've seen so much success with our players getting in front of these coaches. And like you said, they're recruiting more about how does this player fit into our team? What's their character like? What's their attitude like? That's one massive thing we've seen is the attitude and the player and the person.
And hence why we do come over here to Nukes. It's unreal for us as Aussies to come to an Aussie Legends place, and for them to actually put on a college showcase. We take a big advantage of that to bring over. Just in December, we brought over 10 players, and from that showcase alone, we had 4 of our players sign to come to college. So, and that there is such a great success for us as coaches, because it takes away the guesswork back in Australia to go, well, I'm a 7 UTR. Well, I can't even get to where I want to get, so I'll quit playing tennis. What we're trying to do for Aussie families and players is to actually show them that it's possible, because there is no real pathway in Australia after school. We don't have a massive pathway. We're a big country by land size, but a very small country by population. We've got about 27 million people, and here in Texas alone, I think there's 35 million people. There's more people in Texas than there is in all of Australia. So that gives people listening to this here in America a really good understanding of why we try to do these trips. And again, without Nukes here and John Newcombe really being behind what we're doing, it would be a really tough task for us to get our Aussie kids exposure, not only to the training that they do here. You know, our kids have been here for 2 weeks training. They're getting up at 5:30 in the morning. They're doing 2 hours of training before breakfast, and in the middle of the day, they're doing another 2, and then it's such an eye-opener for Aussies and for Americans listening. I think you guys have got, 300 and maybe 30, 50 million people here. For us as a little country of 27 million people, our kids come here and they see, Walmart for the first time, and they're like, oh my God. And you guys just see it and it's normal, right? It's so for an Aussie kid to come over to America, not only does it make them grow up, but it also shows them what's available to them and the opportunities that is out there for them in their tennis, which is for us as coaches is just invaluable. So we can't thank the guys here at Nukes enough for what they do for us. And, for anyone that's out there that doesn't know John Newcombe, go and look him up. He's a bloody legend.
Can I ask you how you make the decision of which kids you bring over? What are the criteria you guys are looking
So,
at?
you know what we do? Back at home, we give our kids the option to come. If they want to come, we take a maximum of around about 10 to 11 players. That's our maximum. But we have people asking us to come all the time. If there is a kid out there that wants to come, and we don't mind if they're a 4 UTR. If they're keen to come, there is a place somewhere here in America in a college system that they can go to. So we're not saying, hey, you must be a 9+ UTR to come on these trips. We're saying, hey, if you're an Aussie kid that is passionate about tennis, you come along and you're more than welcome, and we will open your eyes to the opportunities, because both Kelsey and I love this sport. It's our life. It's about all we do. We do nothing else but tennis. So if we can help someone else,
I know the feeling.
Yeah. If we can help someone else love the sport as much as we do, then we've done our job as coaches.
Yeah. Y'all talked about the fact that you saw colleges across the spectrum, not just Division One. And I say this over and over again. I'm going to say it one more time. I wish the NCAA had a different nomenclature for the divisions of college tennis, because I feel like, especially, and you confirm this, that because it's Division 1, 2, 3, people just naturally assume that Division 1 is the best and Division 3 is the worst. And that could not be further from the truth. There are Division 3 programs that are beating Division 1 programs, Division 2 programs that are, you get my gist.
Yeah.
And I think it's really important to keep communicating that message, that there are amazing college tennis playing opportunities at all divisions, whether it is NCAA 1, 2, or 3, NAIA, junior college, community college. There are some amazing coaches out there at schools you've never heard of.
Yeah, you are 100% correct.
You're so correct. I think that's why one of the biggest reasons we don't just take our players to these Division 1 programs. We are taking them all across the board to see what the range of facilities are like, what the coaching's like, what the level is like, so they get a really good gauge of where they fit into the system. And so we always look at this system of going, okay, it's where's the right fit for the person, not just the ego of playing
I
for
must go Division 1.
I must go Division 1. Because like you said, there's so many great colleges and coaches and programs and facilities out there for people that just need to look a little bit further. And that's one of the biggest reasons we take our players all around. And then we have meetings with them afterwards discussing what they want from their college experience, what they want to study. Do they want a big school or a small school? And we try and really find the right fit for them.
Like we went out to Trinity University here in Texas, which is a Division 3 absolutely awesome campus. Russ, the head coach there, he's a good friend of mine. He's a great guy. He's an amazing coach. Our guys were like, oh, we're going to Division 3, and okay, we'll wait till we go to Division 1. They got on the campus and they were like, we're all going here. This is amazing. The coach, Russ, is just unbelievable. The facilities here are great. They got to watch the guys train and they were like, those guys would absolutely kill us. This place is amazing. So what you just said, I think we try to advocate that back at home, because you're so right in saying, in Australia, if you are in Division 1, you are the best. If you're in Division 2, you're the next best, and so on, like you said. But unfortunately, here in America, that gets lost in translation around the world. So we do a lot of travel all around the world, not just here in America, but in Europe, we do a ton of it. And even when we're speaking to people in Europe, they go, I would love to go to college in America, but we're only going to Division 1. And I said, hey, guys, you don't understand that just because it says Division 1, and I said, I understand it's confusing, but Division 3 schools beat Division 1 programs, and they do not believe me.
They do not believe us.
They're like, there is this guy must be talking out of his pants, because it doesn't make any sense to them. So I think what you're saying is, I would love somewhere where the NCAA, I don't know how they do it, but it would be amazing for them to say, hey, a ranking system where it's like all the programs in one, where they would fit. That would be very interesting to see where a big Division 3 school would actually fit in in the system of Division 1 through to 3. And our kids now are coming on this trip, have just gone, John, you were so right. Kelsey, you were so right. The community college school had a roster that would beat some of the Division 2 or 3 or Division 1 schools. And we're like, yes, they just don't, it doesn't correlate to them in any way. So what you just said is spot on. And I hope anyone listening from America and Australia understands that process. There is so many opportunities for tennis players to go to great programs, great schools, great facilities with great coaches that aren't Division 1.
But so many people lose out on these amazing potential opportunities because they are so closed-minded on that Division 1 track. And like you said, I hope anyone listening, just open your horizons to the amount of incredible programs and coaching out there if you just research it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I just recorded a podcast with a former college golfer turned college golf coach in Texas, actually, but he's from Norway. And he loves data. So he started scraping college rosters and looked at tennis because it's so similar to golf. And what he found is there's been a vast decline in the number of American players on Division 1 college rosters. And we had a whole conversation about the why behind that. And I won't go into it. People have to watch the episode. But what came out of that is there is some equilibrium. And maybe we're at it right now where the number of American players won't go down any further. Maybe we found the sweet spot, or maybe it'll go up a little bit. But because college has become so global, tennis has become so global, therefore college has become so global. And there are so many fabulous players around the world working hard, really hard, every single day. And if you want to compete, you better be working just as hard or harder. And that's not just a message for American kids. It's a message for kids everywhere that aspire to take that next step in their tennis, right? Whether it's college or the pro tour. So,
100%.
You know, this isn't, I mean, you'll hear a lot of American parents, you know, kind of begrudge the fact that there's so many international players on these rosters. And I was one of those parents, you know, years ago, until my son went through the process and met his best friend who was from New Zealand, and now he lives in New Zealand, and everybody knows that story. But now I see the value in it beyond the tennis piece of it. There is a global value in having teens from all different parts of the world, all different cultures, all different backgrounds, come together, live together, train together, compete together. It's going to make the world better if we just embrace it, as opposed to saying we got to stop it.
Yeah, I think you're 100% correct. Like we've been to a lot of schools on this trip, and speaking to one of the coaches, I think they only had one American on their team, and they had another 8 players from all around the world. But they actually said that worked in their favor because everyone was helping everyone learn about everything, if that makes sense. And I think it's a great thing for everybody to see the different playing styles from around the world, meeting the different people, how they think differently, and all those types of things. I think it's great for the sport of tennis because tennis is an international sport. And I think if we can all work together in collaboration, coaches, colleges, people like yourself running podcasts, myself running a podcast, and I think it's great for the sport of tennis in general to have that sort of level coming over here and competing, because I still get blown away every day by looking at the college system at how many players it's producing, but also how many good people it's producing with college degrees when they're finished. I think that is one missed thing that a lot of people forget, that when you are playing tennis, you have a short lifespan as a professional, if you want to call it that. So to have something after tennis to fall back on, but to be able to play at the level in college and also get a degree at the same time how do you beat that? Like I just, you look at that system and how do you beat that? It's just amazing to be able to play tennis at that level, but also get an education at the same time.
But also that competition drives all of these players, knowing that, it's a global sport,
Yeah.
knowing that there's players coming from all around the world to make you better as well. And the depth that you're seeing in college tennis, it is incredible, seeing all these players from around the world come together and create this little ecosystem of pro tour level tennis. It's awesome.
And one of the things that I think is so cool too is how many players end up staying and becoming college coaches themselves.
Yes.
And we've seen a huge increase in the number of international college coaches. Yep. And that's fabulous for everybody.
Correct.
It's a win-win. So I hope we can all kind of embrace this idea that, I'm sure I'll get a little bit of pushback of why are you having these people on that are bringing these kids that are trying to steal spots from our U.S. players? No, that's not, you guys are not stealing spots. No. You guys are exposing these kids to opportunities around the world, much like an American family sending their kid to Spain or South America to train.
Correct.
The same idea.
What's the difference?
Right?
What is the difference?
Same idea. And it's a gift for all of us to have the opportunity to get to know each other.
Oh, 100%. I think one of the big things back at home, we have a lot of coaches that say, oh, well, why do we want to send our players to America? We're losing our young players that play tennis to another country. Well, I look at it a totally different way. I say, we're coaches of tennis, the sport. Now, if we're keeping players in tennis, a sport, it doesn't matter whether they're playing it in Australia, in Spain, in Fiji, in China, in America. We're keeping them in the ecosystem of tennis. Now, as a coach, I don't see that as a negative. I don't understand how that's a negative. If we're helping the sport of tennis as a whole, and it's getting better because there's international players playing, whether it be here in America at college tennis, or they're playing European club tennis, or they're training in Europe. We're making tennis better as a whole. And I think that there in itself is something that people need to think about a lot.
Yeah. Well, we've got Craig Tiley coming to run our national governing body starting, I think, in a couple months. And it will be very interesting to see what he brings from Tennis Australia to the USTA, given that he was a college tennis coach.
Correct.
Also,
correct.
So,
yes.
I mean, I've heard him speak about the importance of college tennis to the American ecosystem of tennis. And I think it's going to be super interesting. I had the opportunity to go to the Australian Open this year for the first time. And
nice.
I was blown away at the experience. And I'm really hoping that he brings that kind of energy that I felt at that event, and that kind of openness. I mean, that tournament feels accessible to everybody, regardless of financial status, regardless of anything. It is affordable. It's easy to get in and out. It's easy to maneuver around. I'm really hopeful for what he's going to bring to us here. And I'm sorry we
look,
from y'all.
No, actually, that's one area that I hope I don't blow anyone's bubble here, but he did a great job with the Australian Open, absolutely awesome. But unfortunately didn't do a great job with our player development back at home. Our grassroots level tennis back at home is suffering. And unfortunately it's suffering because of a lot of systems that were brought in. And I won't go too deep into it, but I'm glad he's at the USTA instead of Tennis Australia. I'll leave it at that. If you want to do another podcast on that later, I'll be more than happy to do it. But unfortunately, he amazing job with the Aussie Open. Unfortunately, our player development system back home has suffered for many years, and that's because it had a massive emphasis only on the Australian Open instead of actually developing the pathways for our players back home. If coaches like myself and Kelsey, there's a lot of other coaches at home that are really driving pathway education and trying to help the system back at home. and that unfortunately stems from the lack of help that was happening with our player development system through Tennis Australia.
And I've interviewed several coaches from Australia over the past few years, and I have heard that. But the good news is you guys have an amazing cadre of coaches doing some really good work.
We do
on the ground,
and you know that's the
very
one
dedicated.
Thing. Oh, we've got a ton of dedicated coaches in Australia, and it's great. It just unfortunately there's not a lot of support for those great coaches from Tennis Australia, like myself and Kelsey. We've never been contacted by Tennis Australia with all the work and all the pathways that we do give our players and kids. It'd be great if we actually worked as a big team, but unfortunately that doesn't happen a lot back at home. And hopefully we're all hoping that the new CEO that comes into Tennis Australia, we're hoping that there's two roles that go ahead. One that looks after only the Aussie Open, because that is a beast in itself, and someone else that looks after grassroots tennis and development. That would be amazing. And that's something that I have my fingers crossed on. I won't hold my breath because I don't know whether that'll happen, but we're lucky we have a lot of great coaches back at home that are very dedicated and passionate. We are always open to working with Tennis Australia on these things, but unfortunately it's not forthcoming.
Well, it gives you a little more freedom that you're not under their umbrella, I would think.
Well, it does, but it would be great because we're such a small country, not to maybe work for them, but to work with them. That would be fantastic. Yeah.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
And I think it's interesting to see the presence of tennis in Australia. As I said, I was there during the Aussie Open this year. We traveled around, but everywhere we went, not just in Melbourne, the tennis was on. People were into it. I don't know that you get that as much here, and maybe it's because we're so spread out here in the States.
Yeah, maybe. Like it's become a big Tennis Australia's done, and Craig has done a great job with the Aussie Open getting it out there, and it's everywhere, which is fantastic. We see a massive influx of people playing tennis over that December, January, February period, and that's fantastic for our sport. I think if we didn't have the Aussie Open back at home, we would struggle with tennis big time. I don't think we would have anywhere near the people playing tennis, because the Aussie Open does throw out so much information about tennis. It showcases our amazing sport to people that may not ever think about playing tennis, but because it's in their face, it actually makes them go out and pick up a racket, which is a great thing for the sport. We just need to do a better job throughout the rest of the year instead of just around that period.
Yeah, always a challenge.
Always.
All right, what's next on y'all's agenda? When do you head back?
So we head back on Friday. So we're back to Sydney, back into our coaching, and then before you know it, we'll be over in Europe. We're going to Croatia and Slovenia. We've been lucky enough to join the Tennis Fantasies team and helping those guys out there over there with this luxury trip, and we just can't wait.
Yeah, so it's unreal. It's a program that has stemmed here from the John Newcombe Tennis Academy. They run fantasy camps here with all the former pros, and John Newcombe himself's here, and now they're taking it worldwide. And we're going over, and we're lucky enough to be part of their coaching team to be coaching in Europe in about 8 weeks' time, which is, we can't wait. And then in October, we're back here again. And then in December, we're back here again for the Nukes College Showcase. And then in between there somewhere, we'll probably sleep and do something like that.
Something like that,
There's plenty of time for that. I want to just ask you, for the kids that you've coached, that you've brought over, you've exposed them to college tennis, they've signed on the dotted line, they've made that jump and come over here to play. Do you get feedback from them while they're in college or after college about their experience? Do you have them talk to the kids that you're bringing over, the younger group? How does that work?
We sure do. We've had a lot. I've sent a lot of players over to college myself in my career of coaching. I always speak to my former players, and yes, we have had lucky enough to have a young man that I spent a lot of time with in his junior career in a lot of our squad programs back home. His name's Blake Bowden. He ended up playing, started his career at Barry University, which is a Division II school, but then went on to play for Boise State. and now he's in the top 100 in the world in doubles. And he played at the US Open and the Aussie Open this year. And we actually had him come out to our program in Australia and talk to all of our players. He trained with them for the night and actually spoke to them about the college pathway. And for us to have him come out and do that was amazing. And our players got so much out of that. I've got another young man over here that he's been over here. He came over to St. Mary's University in California. He played there for 4 years. He did a great job, which is Division I school. Now he's running a big tennis center. I think it's in Buffalo in New York. And he's been here. He's married with kids. He's been here for about, I think it's 12 or 14 years now. So I'm always in contact with these guys and always trying to get them to educate our kids back at home. And for us as coaches, they're great role models and examples of Aussie kids that have actually succeeded and gone down this path. So yeah, we do get a lot of feedback. We always talk to our players. It's just great for us as a coaching team to have those people that have done it be able to share their experiences with our parents and players as well.
But so many of our players have had such positive experiences over here in the States that they just can't wait to share.
They don't want to go home.
They don't want to go home. They just can't wait to share the incredible pathway of college tennis and what it's done for them. Like John said, I'm going to name drop him. Gavin is married with kids over here, and he's running an incredible center, and they're just always so forthcoming in trying to help other Aussie players experience what they've been able to experience. And so they're very forthcoming, and we're very grateful that they share it with us as well.
I love it. All right, before we close, I want to just talk about your podcast a minute. Tell us a little bit about it. What do y'all talk about?
Well, I hope you remember, but I did have you on once.
Yeah, yes. I do remember.
Very good.
Yeah.
So I do a lot of stuff. I just pretty much free reign and talk about anything that I feel is relevant in tennis at the moment. It's called the Tennis Talk 101 podcast. Kelsey and I do a lot of interviews. She'll interview a lot of our players to get a perspective from a player's point of view on a lot of the trips we do. I do things on player pathways. I do things on attitude, mindset, you name it. Whatever I feel is relevant at the time, I will have guests on. I've had, some of the Aussie legends on. They go through their careers. I've had former college players come on. It's just something that I have done because I could talk tennis all day, and it gives me an outlet that I can talk tennis and no one actually has to listen to me firsthand and say, John, I've had enough. They can actually turn me off. So it's for me, I started it honestly as an outlet. But I had a lot of people ask me, John, you need to record some of the things that you talk about because that would be so great for our kids to hear. And I just thought one day, how do I start a podcast? And I went and bought all the podcast gear and I looked at it and went, I have no idea what I'm doing with this. And I've been going now for about a year and a half, and I can't believe the reception and the listening numbers that I've got. I think, why do people want to sit and listen to me for? But it's been great for a lot of people. I've had so much feedback. I get so many messages from players and parents alike saying, thank you so much for doing that. And I, as a tennis nut, I'm an absolute tennis junkie. For me to be able to help somebody is amazing with the passion. So hence why I started the podcast. But yeah, it's a passion project more than anything.
I feel that 1,000%. And yeah, totally get it. And we will have a link to the podcast in the show notes wherever you're consuming this podcast.
Thank you.
Whether it's on ParentingAces.com or elsewhere. You guys, it has been a pleasure. I'm loving your social media. Keep it rolling. I love that you're tagging me, so I will repost a bunch of that stuff. Thank you. And,
no worries.
And good luck to the kids. Good luck on all your travels.
You so
and if you'll ever come out to Southern California,
let
me know.
Yeah, for sure. We're more than happy to.
We've got some good tennis out here.
Hey, we love
and we've got Roy Emerson. We've got Roy Emerson out
here. I know you got Roy out there. There's a lot of Aussies that actually live out there, but unfortunately, you're not going to get us away from Nukes. Sorry, it's not going to happen.
I hear you. All right.
Hey, thank you so much for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having us on. Lovely to speak to you.
Absolutely. You too. And to my audience, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll catch you next time on Parenting Aces.